So let's do some introductions. Marissa, you want to tell us a little bit who you are, all that, and then we'll move over to Daniel.
Yeah, so my name is Marissa Canario. I am a realtor in residence here for Wailopo and Maverick. I ran a national team for many years at Keller Williams and then own a local team that is about to scale nationally in Milwaukee because I just really, really like to not stay in one location. We've been a Wailopo slash Maverick user in different capacities for just about 2 years now.
Nice, awesome. And a little background too. I mean, I think when we first met too, you were growing and scaling, and you were training ISAs and agents and scripting and processes all over the place. I was like lots of different teams, if I remember correctly.
Yes, we had 168 different markets. And so that's essentially 168 different teams within the team. And so figuring out how to scale that, run ISA teams, and then launch, right, like the follow-up boss, Lopo, all at the same time. So yeah, that was really, really interesting time for sure. Learned a lot.
I love it. Awesome, Daniel.
Well, I don't run anywhere close to 168 teams, so that's pretty impressive right there, that rap sheet you got. But we are an independent brokerage in Richmond, Virginia. We have three offices, one here in Richmond, where I'm at right now, one in Lynchburg, and one in Charlottesville. Like I said, independent brokerage, about 105 agents, a little over 20 staff members. And a big key part of our staff is our inside sales team, which a few of those folks are on this call. And we're going to be talking a lot about how we use Maverick to scale them, what it looked like a little bit before that, but I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Love it, love it. Yeah, I'm seeing some of the people from Richmond and all this. So I'm guessing some of these are on your team, some are attendees and all that. I love it. So all right, quick intro. So myself, Gabe Cordova, the GM over at Maverick, but also the director of database and lead sources for Robert Slack, headquartered out of Florida. So number one teamerage, I guess, large team in Florida, and I think number four in the country right now. My job primarily right now is really helping manage and keep an eye on about 1.9 million leads, what tech is touching them, the people, the agents, the ISAs, and our CEO, Dan Walters, a couple of months ago, coined August as the month of Maverick, right? This is one we were launching and really implementing to go deep into it with our team leads, with our systems and processes, and now really starting to dial in to the ISA side of it, right? We're a larger mega team and different locations as well. So this is a piece that we're just starting to really go deep into, which is the ISA Pro Dispatch, IS Manager, because uh, what we've been doing a lot right now is tracking, or what they had been doing is a lot of tracking basically in spreadsheets, right? So it doesn't have a lot of data to be able to find it. And so I'm excited when we start talking about this, how top teams, how just beasts in the industry like the two of you are getting twice the conversion and tracking metrics and distributing and all that. So I'm going to do a quick little overview, I think, of the things we're going to cover here. Tell me if you guys can. Can you see the slide here?
Yep.
Yep.
Hopefully. All right. So I'll give you a little bit of overview, but what we want to do is talk about real world, what you guys are seeing, what you're doing. I know, Daniel, we're going to jump into your account a bit as well. And some of this is going to be learning, right, as we're going, because we're gaining more visibility into what's happening. So really how you're building your scoreboard, how you're tracking or having friendly competition, what's going on. I want to really talk about appointments, because the whole point of having ISAs is setting more appointments, and a huge hole in many teams, businesses I'm seeing right now is the lack of outcomes when it comes to appointments, how we're routing these appointments that we're setting, and then just some accountability, right? So we're going to dive in. I just want to make sure we have some of these, how you're tracking it, some of the scoreboards and things that are appointments that we're going, routing through conversion, and then some sort of accountability. So probably want to start really right now, just when we're talking about scoreboards and how you're tracking what's going on. Daniel, I'm going to come to you first, right? You're kind of the resident realtor in residence at Maverick and teaching a lot of this, but kind of want to talk about a little bit about when we say scoreboard or some of the tracking, what are you looking for and why are you doing it? Or why are you doing it? Then what are you looking for might be a better way to put that.
For sure. Yeah, so there's kind of two categories that you measure productivity. I would say even with an agent and with an ISA, it would be the effort and then the skill. So, and Maverick really helps us analyze both of those things. So the first thing is like, are they putting in the amount of effort needed to produce the results to hit the ISA's personal goals, to hit the company's goals? And we can measure that, obviously calls, texts, outreaches, and then it's a skill set thing. So then it gets into the AI calling, AI grading to say like, okay, maybe you're making a lot of calls, but maybe it's not turned into number of appointments that you want. And so here's where it breaks it down how to help you turn those into the appointments where it gets so granular and says, you need to probably ask for the motivation more. You need to ask for what location that they want to be in, and it tells you all those things. Also, what I love about the scoreboard, and I'll share my screen, Gabe, when you're ready, is I want to see who's doing really well because we look at that person, we don't always want to think about who's not hitting the numbers that we want to hit, but who's doing well. And let's analyze that. Like, hey, how are you hitting these numbers? How are you converting at this rate so we can glean something off of you? So I want to know who's doing well, who needs to do better, who wants to do better, and all those things.
I love it. Okay, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you guys. Sorry, just this is what happens sometimes. Some of this obviously we talked about. This one we did not. So whoever wants to jump in first, I kind of actually want to back up. As I was hearing that, there may be people on here right now that don't have ISAs yet.
Mhm.
Maybe they're thinking about this or been wondering. I'd love to know maybe from each of you, at what point in your business did you realize, or what were some of the warning signs, or when did you realize that this was a route you probably wanted to take, or bring them on? I'd love to maybe back up a little bit, set the stage as to what were some of the pain points or the whys behind why you went this direction, and then we'll kind of jump in. And I'll just stick with you, Daniel, since you were on there.
Okay.
Swing over to
Yeah,
you.
yeah, because I'd love to hear Marissa's side too. So I'll tell you, it's all happened this one moment. It's probably in 2017. We had a team of probably 7 or 8 people, and I was buying leads, buying leads, buying leads, and I got to where I could generate a Facebook lead for under $1. I mean, that was like a huge win. Like, oh, I got a lead for 99 cents. And so they were coming in, I was dumping all this money into them, and I was begging the agents, please call the leads. I was calling them, say, hey, you got 10 more in there. Can you please call them? Poor agents, they're running around, they're trying to sell houses, trying to write contracts. Here I am begging them to call leads. And I started to see our conversion. One day I'd, exported everything in Follow Up Boss and did some math on a spreadsheet, and we're like 1/10% of what we're of a conversion
So
rate.
life before Maverick then. So I'm hearing
Life before Maverick, life before ISAs, and then so we looked at it, and then I said, hey, look, we're gonna do a contest. So we did this contest with about 8 agents, and I said, whoever can set the most appointments, I'm gonna buy you a weekend at the beach at Virginia Beach, a couple hours away. And we did this, and at the end of the week, some agents had 3 appointments, 4 appointments. This one guy had set like 15 appointments in a week. And we were all blown away. And we were like, what in the world? How did you do that? So I sat him down, took him out to lunch. I was like, dude, tell me about what did you do? Right. And he said, I love it. Like to me, I actually love this part of it. It's more of a game, more than going out and meeting people. And most agents, if don't love that part of it that much. And so that was kind of a, commodity, I would say, that type of a person. So I said, hey, what if we created this role? And this was like before I think ISAs were real popular. And I don't even know if we called them that, but he did it. Then he created appointments, and it's been a thing that we've had in our company ever since.
awesome. So low conversion and then finding people that actually enjoy doing that versus trying
Yeah.
to get people to do it. Marissa, how about you?
So for us, it was really interesting because, as I said before, we were running 168 separate markets, right? And so we're chasing all of this data, and in the agents, we had these area leaders or regional directors, and they're coming back. And the first thing we got really smart around was the spend in each area, right? So it was like, okay, we're buying all of this and we're not seeing the conversion. And so the agents start telling us, oh, we're trying and it's not working, right? And we don't have eyes. Like on any prior system we had was basically, to Daniel's point, or maybe you said it, Gabe, like a spreadsheet, right? Like we're having a jot form, we're filling out our numbers. I made all these dials. I can't get people on the phone. I have no idea, right? That's pretty much what we were coming back with. And I'm looking at the size of the database going, there is no way with a database this size, we are not making connections unless we're just not doing it, right? And so after a few weeks of kind of back and forth we had each regional director bring in their top dialer from what we could see from the system that we were using, right? And Daniel, to your point, we have so many people that were phenomenal on the phone and not phenomenal in front of people, right? And so what was happening is getting the phone calls, they're actually making them, and it's true, like they're getting in front of the person and they're kind of losing that traction. And so I had the light bulb moment of, wait a second, we're a national team. We're this large. We have nobody dialing from the hub, right? Like we're just expecting these people to go be good at all of these different areas. And that's kind of where the ISA was born. And so we brought in those particular agents. We had more than we realized that were really strong on the phone and really not strong out in the field. And so we kind of rearranged what their role looked like with the company. And that's how the ISA division was born.
I love that. And I want to tie, and I'm going to challenge you guys at times too, because I know we're going to have people that are on here right now. And people are going to be rewatching us. Some are very small teams. They're not national, right? They're not this or that. But from what I've seen, even though you had multiple teams, you have different markets, and you're like, you still have some of those are small and it's still working, right? So I'm going to challenge in certain areas. How do we speak to the smaller teams, maybe the, 2, 3 person, because I see, and maybe you're going here, Mirza. I've seen where this almost
Yeah.
happening, though it's not called ISAs. I've seen a couple, spouse teams where one of them is on the phone all the time setting, and the other one is like, so it's kind of almost the same thing that we're talking about here,
Yes.
just at a smaller scale. So
Yeah, and I think that we were, we treated, and you've heard me say this before, Gabe, like every single location was treated as its own individual team in the ecosystem, right? And so we did have scenarios where maybe in Grand Junction, Colorado, there's 3 or 4 people on a team, and one person identifies as one person kind of became, right, who that is. And so we treated each location very individually.
love it. All right. Well, I want to set the stage here. So, all right. So I'll zip back over Dan. So, all right. So we've decided we're going to kind of come back into, we have ISAs. Maybe we don't know how we're tracking the scoreboard, looking at, I'd love you to kind of jump in. Let's give some takeaways. And, we're not going to probably go a whole hour here, probably another, 20, 30 minutes. I want to give them some takeaways. So on the scoreboard, it's kind of what we're looking at. What are you looking for when you have, whether it's one person or multiple people dialing, and obviously you use a lot of Maverick, which I want to highlight because this takes a lot of the data from Follow Up Boss, from the CRM, right? And it dishes it up. Would love to know, for those that are currently on here that have us, or those that are thinking maybe about getting something like this, what are you looking for on that scoreboard?
Sure. Let me share it here. Might be the easiest way. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, can you drag the
Yeah.
browser bigger though?
Yeah,
Just a little bit easier, that'd be awesome.
That
There.
better?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So, and let me zoom in here a little bit.
Perfect.
Okay. So, one of the beautiful things about Maverick that I don't know any other system that does this is it pulls your CRM data and your transaction management system data. For us, that's Brokerment, and it puts those things together. You don't have to input anything. You don't have to fill out a jot form like Marissa was saying, like to get the good data. It's just there. It's an API directly to both of these systems, and it's combining it together to give you this very relevant, good information. So this is one of the reports. There's an ISA manager report. There's an ISA dashboard report. So this is just like the manager report that they can quickly glance and look at and see like, okay, these folks are doing, great this month. These folks maybe not, what might be going on. And you can see like trends, you can see, where the team is going in general, who's kind of like a real quick glance of who's doing well. Okay, so the leaderboard, it's just saying top calls. So it's number one, what it's grading is how many calls, not the quality of them or anything like that, how many conversations. But this leaderboard just it breaks that down. Then you can look at conversations and say, okay, this is what Follow Up Boss tracks as a 2-minute or more phone call, right? And so you can look at that, see who's doing well with that kind of stuff. I can look real quickly how many unique leads are called, how many calls per lead. This is something to track. Like, are we making an effort? Are we making enough an effort on each lead? Like, if we're not, maybe we have too many leads to call, or not enough leads to call if that number is high or something. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I love that. It's already pulling it. So I just want to make sure too, you're not entering this into Maverick. This is literally pulling it from the CRM. This is pulling
Real-time
it
data. Yeah. I mean,
from
it's
that.
updated constantly in real time. And then you can look at, more details here, kind of like a spreadsheet form. You can sort them, based on appointments, based on calls per appointment set. I kind of like this one's kind of cool to me. To me, this can be an indicator of the quality of the conversation, right? And then it can be an indicator that maybe somebody's using text a lot more, and maybe they prefer text and they don't set as many appointments on calls and more so on text. So you can kind of look at that, and then you can look and see who's like, see some of these folks who have a lower calls percent. Okay, so Melissa, so our ISA manager, she averages 11 and a half calls per appointment set. You'd make sense. She's the manager, she leads the team, and she's very good on the phone. She probably uses that more than texting, maybe with appointments. I don't know, but like
Yeah.
11 and a half calls per appointment is a pretty good thing. So then you look at that and say, hey, this can be our target. This is something that is achievable, right? So then you can sort all that stuff. You then start breaking it down by appointments, because that's the leading indicator, one of the leading indicators of success. I mean, you want to look at closings and deals, but like before you get there, you got to look at your appointments. Are you sending them out? Appointment set, appointment scheduled, held. Again, quick glances on all these things to kind of see the whole team. Just to give you guys an idea, the Ocean appointments, that's our agents calling out of the database, and we run those through Maverick because we want to track all of the data from it. So if an agent pulls an appointment out of the database themselves, our VAs will run it through the Maverick Pro Dispatch tool, and we can talk about that in a second. And we track all that because I want to know, because we're trying to push that too. Like, we can't fully lean on the ISAs. We want the agents prospecting for themselves. So
Yeah.
that's something we've been tracking.
So and this is not going to
Yeah.
track. So just make sure on the appointments. So we're gonna get into appointment outcomes and types and stuff. And I'm going to share some takeaways for those that haven't set this up yet. You guys can just have at the end. We'll have a QR code for you. But like you said, this is not the agent culture thing. This is the ISA, because here's where I started seeing as I came in and managing all the appointments that we were setting at Slack is like, where are they now? Who has them? I know it's a different page, but what ISAs are setting them? Who's doing it in fewer calls versus more? That this is all just about those people in Maverick you have set up as an ISA, what they're doing and where they're going.
Yeah. So you can identify in Maverick, if is this user an ISA, and it basically puts all their data into this report. And to your point, Gabe, you can get a lot of this same data with the agents as well. It's just in another point. It's just another report, like specifically the appointments report or the sales report, something like that. So this is just looking at, so like Melissa, who is the ISA manager, she wants to look in here, kind of get a quick glance of, how many deals we've closed, how many appointments we're setting, where we're tracking this month as compared to last month. And then you can start looking at the deals, a breakdown of each deal and the time frame that you selected, and really just see all the details here that are happening straight from the ISA team. Again, this is pulling data and combining the data from Follow Up Boss, our CRM, and BrokerMint, our transaction management system, to give us true like conversion rates.
Yep.
And so you can start breaking stuff down with intelligent data.
Love that. There's a question in Q&A real quick, and then if you have something else, I'll come to you. But Sue had asked, hey, we got some they have a hybrid team, ISAs and agents, have some stages in Follow Boss are not caught by Maverick. So what I'd answer on that, or say to that, Sue, is sometimes people say stages, but they might mean appointment outcomes, but every stage should automatically sync over into Maverick. It's just once there's a stage created, it comes over. So you may want to just make sure it is set up correctly or saved in there, but we can have we've got some of our CS team on here. I'll have them grab your account and shoot you out a private message. So just want to make sure you saw that. So anything to add on to that, versus as far as just like what you're tracking or what you're looking for?
Share my screen.
Yeah, so what we're looking for is, right, our number of contact to conversation. That's very, very important to me, because we do have high expectation around, if you're an ISA and that's kind of your sole function in our ecosystem, right? We want that to look like a very high contact number, due to the size of what we're calling. It's about 100 a day for me, 100 dials. Smaller databases around 50. And then we're looking for conversation, right? Because like Daniel mentioned, inside of Maverick, they're picking up on anything after 2 minutes. So that's like a meaningful connection with someone versus like, hey, not interested, bye, which is what we had being counted beforehand, right? So we're really looking for that. And then we're also looking for appointments set to held. And the reason being is because sometimes an appointment will be held and it might be more of a consultation, or we would find that people were maybe really strong at getting the appointment set, but maybe not quite explaining expectation of what that looks like to the potential client. And so we're looking for a lot of set to help. So, because in the beginning, we tended to have a lot of fallout, right, in that number. So it'd be appointment set, but define appointment. And so that gave us a lot of coaching opportunity with the ISA team. And still right now, agents and ISAs, we're tracking that closely.
Love it.
Yeah, that's a key metric, right? Because
Yeah.
if you're sending out a lot of appointments that are not turning into a held one, then that's one of the fastest ways to lose trust from your agents to your ISAs, right? And they might get frustrated. And then on the other side of it, if we're sending them out and the goal is for the agents to see these appointments and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful, I'm getting an appointment from one of our great ISAs. And you got to set the expectation though, because not every single one is going to be held. And so I just gonna share this real quick. This is a great call out, Marissa. The held rate, like that is key. Like that is super, super key, right? Because that's the quality of the appointment, right? So it says when you have this conversation with somebody, I'll put it this way. Years ago, we had another ISA with us back in probably 2020. He was killing it. He was setting a ton of appointments, tons of them, but his held rate was sub 25%. So literally 3 out of 4 of them would cancel, reschedule, no show. What we found was he was very, very good at just getting people to say yes on the phone, right? It was almost like he was too good at that part and like not going deep enough into like the why behind the appointment, setting it up, making it a hard held appointment. And so we started analyzing like the ones that didn't hold and the ones that held. We analyzed 200 appointments, and we started to make a pattern and a system around like this is what happens when they're held, and this is what happens when they're not. And so we have a process that the agents have to respond within 5 minutes to the group text. They have to call within 30 minutes and they have to make another reach out before the appointment happens. Because what was happening is the ISA would like, hey, this is a lead. You're going to meet them 2:30 tomorrow. Want to introduce you guys. Our agent would just be like, okay, sounds good. See you there. And so they didn't have any social clout with that lead. And so the lead, when something better came up, they didn't even tell us. They would just not show. So we built processes by analyzing the appointment held rates, but we obsess over that as well. It's something really, really important.
I love it, and it's actually our next section is about appointments. But there was another question in Q&A I want to ask you guys. What is the criteria you use for an appointment? Is it an appointment for the lead to view a property, scheduled phone call? What would you guys consider an appointment? Chris, I'll jump to you first.
So for us, an appointment is, so I'll go back. For us, appointment lives in kind of two worlds, right? We have consultation, we have appointment. And the reason being is because, especially with all of the changes last year, right? Like, are we getting together and explaining buyer agency, or are we getting together and doing both? And so in our world, an appointment is something that is held once we have had that initial conversation with the client, and then we're going on an actual showing. And that's for us, it was just easier to track that way because everything was getting logged as appointment. And then I'm going, wait, hold on a second. If we're having this many appointments, what's going on with the pendings, right? Like that brought us to our next correlation of like, oh, hold on a second. And so we've broken it kind of apart into that, and appointment set counts as ready to go on showings. We've already completed this stage of the program.
How about you guys, Daniel? And I love this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little bit different, and Daniel might be too. There's no one way to do this, right? So I
Yeah,
love
there's no one way to do it, but I think we'd be all smart to learn from Marissa because that makes sense to kind of separate it into have they had this conversation about what they're going to do. Is it that type of an appointment, or is it we are going to look at a house, maybe separated by consults and stuff like that? So in our world, we incentivize our amazing ISA team to get face-to-face appointments. So and when the client cannot do face-to-face, our standard is if they're more than a 60-mile radius away from the office, then it can be a virtual phone call and it would count as a held appointment. So like I said, we incentivize them for that. And then to qualify for it, we've changed this a little bit over time. And Melissa, if you want to put in the chats if I'm wrong in this, or Casey, anybody, but it was having to express interest in buying or selling real estate in the next 12 months. And if they've offered their credit score, we don't set something a showing with somebody that is offered their credit score of below 580, which we don't ask, and that's kind of rare. And if they've offered that they don't have a job, that information, then we don't set it. But yes, we've tightened it to Melissa's point. We've tightened it to 6 months because we wanted to set more high quality appointments. There was a point when we had more appointments going out than agents to take them. So that was one of the first things we tightened.
I love that. So what I'm hearing, and this is one of the things I want to share, and I'll give this to anybody who wants it just as a starting point, but there are different types of appointments. It is literally the next part in the deck is where we're just talking about appointments. We have ISAs, that's great. We can manage, we can spend the entire time just on managing ISAs, right? Processes and stuff, but I want to talk about appointments. So another great thing that we need to see, and this is probably my biggest soapbox I've been talking about in the last year, especially since getting Maverick and just having my mind blown, is how many appointments aren't getting updated. And I think a big part of it is we also are not understanding or defining what are the appointment types. So I'm going to show just real quick. Well, we'll go into follow-up boss in different spots. So in follow-up boss, right? So you have different types of appointments. Let me move my stuff. So different types. You guys can control what types of appointments there are on lead profiles and what are the outcomes, right? If you don't know, this is just an admin function in follow-up boss. This is what we have, right? So we consider appointments can be in person or phone consultations, whatever it is. We do break out our ISA ones. The reason we did this is because we were not using Maverick to track them. They're all in follow boss now. Because we have Maverick to assign the appointments, and it would track it automatically. We can probably get rid of some of these types, but we have consults, whether it's Zoom or phone. Is it a first showing versus additional? We like to break those out separate to find out how many first showings, right? Agents should be going on 4, 5, 6 first showing appointments a month, and then you've got your additional. But set up some sort of appointment types. This is what we use, right? Under contract appointment type, we have that there because I don't want to track appointments when it's a walkthrough, photography, letting an inspector in or whatever it is. So in Maverick, we can exclude that from our appointment tracking, right? And then your outcomes, right? Was it not completed by the agent? Did they cancel? No show? Did we meet? Well, if you met, was it listed or now we met them, but I got to nurture it, whatever it is. So you guys can take a screenshot of this. I'll share it out afterwards, but these were all built in follow-up boss because in Maverick, right, we just go right into our sales manager report or sales reports, our appointments report. I can put in any dates now. I love follow-up boss. There's nothing against follow-up boss. You're just very limited when you go into the appointment section on what you can look for and what you can do. So Maverick goes much, much deeper in here. What I love looking for, and I just think I have since September 1st, and this is a big focus for our team, is getting our appointments. So since September 1st, we've settled over 3,000 appointments. 791 are held, not held, meaning they put in that it was a no-show or rescheduled or whatever, which is fine, right? But look at this, 60%. Now, I want to give the team a shout out because this was not a metric we were inspecting because you can't find it in follow boss. And I've jumped in multiple people's. I've seen this number as high as like 98%. I had my first call, I'm not going to say who, but we jumped on Big Zillow and Realtor.com team. They were at 100%. No, they weren't doing outcomes. So here's the key though. Here's what I started finding is when we see a lot of no outcomes, I can instantly just filter and look at my no outcomes. And I started realizing when I started looking and I can click on these and open them right up into follow-up boss, it was people that probably no-showed or rescheduled, but we didn't put an outcome. But because we didn't have an outcome, we didn't know that they needed to go either back to an ISA to get rescheduled, or the agent didn't trigger the right automation to get them back on the books. And I would challenge anybody in here that's setting appointments, especially if you've got ISAs, or if you just got great agents right now setting a lot of appointments for like portal type leads or anything. If you're not inspecting these appointments, especially the ones that don't have outcomes, you are leaving so much bottom of funnel deals on the table that are just going somewhere else. The biggest one we've seen are reschedules. The text came in, call whatever shortly before the appointment. They're like, hey, I can't make it because a kid's sick, or I got to take my dog to the vet, or whatever's happening. And we started noticing a lot of those, and this pains me to say it, we're fixing it, but most of those people that canceled or even no-showed, stuff happens, they were not getting the same love and attention as a brand new lead, right? The brand new leads were coming in, getting all the calls and the texts, 2-3 times a day for 7 days. But people who rescheduled or no-showed appointment weren't getting anything. And it's just crazy, but we didn't have eyes on it. So sorry, a little bit of a soapbox, but to me, appointments set up your types, set up your outcomes, and obsess over it. Obsess
Yeah.
on bottom of funnel metric.
Gabe, if it's okay, I'm going to share ours, and it's not
Yeah.
meant to call anybody out, but the only reason that I would say this number is
So
pretty
jealous.
good is because of Maverick. So our appointments with no outcome in a 90-day period, 607 appointments created, only 8% we don't know what happened. And that's, the goal is 0, but I don't think we'll ever get that because they're always setting new appointments.
That's the lowest one I've never seen single digits before.
Yeah, I mean that's credit to our ISA team. That's credit to our
Yeah,
VA team.
This has a good point. Change something for me. Click on scheduled and then hit run report. I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ones that are
Melissa
on
said
their
it might
way.
be because they're future.
Yeah. Because some of the created could be in the future, so they
Yeah,
wouldn't.
exactly. We did that. So really, it's like 3% that we really don't have an outcome from, which is awesome. But the reason is, and just so people know the magic behind Maverick and why we know what happens with our appointments, is because after the appointment is held, the agent gets a text, and the text said, "Did you meet with this person? 1 yes, 2 no." And then tell me the outcome. If it's no, did they cancel? Did they reschedule? Whatever. And so they have all these options, and people respond to text. I mean, I don't know, what it is. We're just more inclined to respond to a text SMS prompt than we are a notification. We're getting 1,000 notifications on our phone. So if it's not a Maverick notification or something it's literally a text. As they hit the text number, it updates Follow Up Boss, updates Maverick. And so we get that information, and we can even see, like you said, like no outcome needs update. I can see, and then I can start sorting by agent. I can just contact a few agents like, hey, you got some appointments that need an update. So that is so crucial. That text SMS prompt for an update is key for getting that information.
This is one, I'll come right back to you, Marissa. This is one, that is why we actually created a specific type too. So we're like the under contract appointments, because what we started seeing in there, which was a big chunk of them, was we might have like several appointments for photography, for this, for that, whatever it was. So in Maverick, we just tell it to skip those. So that would not report on that. So we're not bugging them and all of that. Sorry, Marissa.
Yep.
No, you're good. I mean, I think Daniel, to your point, right, around the whole notifications thing, no matter what CRM you're using, we all get a little blind to, right? Like you might have 7 or 8 notifications in any given moment, right, from your CRM. And for us, we were finding that the agents were almost going like, I liken it to being nose blind, right? Like you're just like, whatever, like, and so I think that by having the text, to your point, it jogs the memory. And it's so much simpler for an agent who is actively out showing than having to log in, update, or let the ISA know the disposition. And so that's a game changer. And when that came from Maverick, it was like Christmas, right? Like I remember hearing that. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so great.
Yeah.
Because that was something that we were chasing constantly and through no fault of the agent sometimes. I'm out on 10 showings, right? The likelihood of me jumping in there as a salesperson, is minimal. The likelihood I'm going to answer a text is 1,000%. And so 100% shift in how we were able to view data.
100%. I mean, just the time saved
Yeah.
and us as managers not having to be like, how did that appointment go? Can you tell me how that appointment? Now, the ISAs, my team is probably hearing this and they're like, we still have to check sometimes because they'll look at the report or they'll want an outcome because they want to know is part of their, their pay. But like it saves so much time having to not chase people down. And if you've ever run a team and you are creating leads, you know what we're talking about. That goodness gracious, imagine the hours of your week you could get back by just this right there.
And this is nothing against any of the CRMs out there, right? When you are a CRM company, you're building a lot of different tech and tools and things for everybody to do their job, right? So I'll be speaking at Unlock in a couple of weeks, and it's all about plugging the leaks in our funnel, right? And as we were auditing literally hundreds of teams accounts, this is why I become obsessed with appointments, is we just saw how many deals are getting lost at this. And again, it's just not easy to find without going one by one by one by one by one to see what's going on. And it's because the CRM can't be everything to everyone and go super deep. And Maverick just goes so deep on metrics, accountability, visibility into your business that now you know exactly where to go or where the holes are. And so that's why I'm so excited about this metric is is we're just going deeper than what a typical CRM can do because that's not their focus, right? And this metric right now, if we convert more of the appointments that we have, it means we need less leads. Not saying we shouldn't be filling the funnel. It's just we need to convert more. And we're not even touching base on all the call recording and coaching that's in Maverick that's helping us set more appointments with the leads we have. This is inspecting the appointments, right? That very bottom, what's falling out. So this just needs to be a metric that every agent or team or sales manager or team lead just has to obsess
Yeah,
with.
it's I think to your point, Gabe, it's like the low-hanging fruit gets our attention, but we need to shift our brain is like, what is the low-hanging fruit? It's not the new lead that raises their hand to see the first house. It's the one we set last week that we don't know what happened with it, right? That's where you can plug those holes, and can increase your conversions, increase your ROI, lower your cost per closing. That's where it is right there.
All right, I'm already going to call it. All right. That is a 10-second clip that's going to get replayed over and over. We're multitasking and watching the replay. We're 39 minutes in. We started a couple minutes. So 36, 37 minutes in. That's 100% right. We just got to shift our brain on what we should be obsessed about and what's like the lowest hanging fruit. But we have been taught, not saying it's not important. We've been taught that speed to lead, speed to lead, speed to lead. But we have so many other areas, and that speed to reschedule or speed to the outcome of that appointment, so we know where our funnel is so important, and it gets overlooked all the time.
Absolutely.
And I think, Gabe, like it does get overlooked. And then once you're a Maverick user, you can no longer overlook it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things that like for years we thought we knew, we had no idea, right? Like none. Like our best guess was not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. All right, we're going. I was like, we're gonna do this in 30 minutes, and here we go. I want to move to the next section, routing. All right, so we've got ISAs, we got the right people calling, we're setting the right types of appointments. How do we know who we're giving them to? And I know, Daniel, you use this a lot, and this is an area I think Marissa and I have talked about as we're rebuilding kind of our teams, or we're rebuilding how we're distributing leads. I love how you're using Pro Dispatch and the way that it works, and I can't wait to start getting this running.
Yeah, so just give a quick background. If you've ever distributed leads or distributed appointments, there's a couple different methods. There's the round robin, whoever is next in line. Problem with that is the person next in line might not be ready, or they might not be the best person. Another method is just the first to claim, put it in there, sharks in a pond or whatever. Problem is maybe the fastest fingers isn't the best agent to take it, or maybe they already have too many leads. So this is an appointment opportunity distribution tool. It's not a new lead routing tool. People have to understand this is a whole nother level. So Follow Boss has lead routing rules, but once an opportunity, so you could call an opportunity a hand raiser. You could say somebody who's set an appointment. That's how we define it. But once that happens, then it's plugged into the system and creates a list of agents based on their conversion rate and if they match the criteria for this lead. So that could be location, it could be appointment type, it could be specialty, buyer, seller, investor, whatever. So it's an algorithm that sorts through and says, okay, this is the most efficient agent. So we're going to offer it to them first, assuming they still have some leads left in their capacity. And we monitor that too, right? We put everybody at 10. If they have a high conversion, they can go up to 15. If they're struggling, we slow it down a little bit. So assuming they have some of their capacity left over in a rolling 30-day period, they will be the first to see that if they're the highest converter. Then if it's not claimed, it goes to the next person after 10 seconds. And then so on down the list until it gets to the person who is the most available and most qualified, or a combination of those things. And that agent gets it. Now, think about it this way. If you're a team leader and you're sending out 100 appointments in a month, and let's say you have 10 agents, and you have 3 of your agents who are the most efficient. And by the way, efficiency is what we should celebrate, not number of closings, but efficiency. So 3 are the most efficient. And then you have a bottom third. It's just the reality of statistics. You're going to have a bottom third that are the least efficient. If you were able to get more opportunities to the top third and slow down the bottom third, maybe they need coaching, slowing down, you are just going to make more money. You're going to sell more houses and you're going to make more money. So it takes away, what I love about it is it takes away the, accusations of like subjectivity, like, oh, favoritism. You like this agent, you like that agent. Somebody might be like, I need more leads, I need more opportunities. You know what? The Maverick system, it doesn't play favorites. It literally gives the opportunity. If you want more, then you want to have a earlier crack at the lead, convert the leads more. So just when I'm looking at this real quickly, this report I look at a lot. Who's been offered how many appointments in the last 7 days, 30 days? How many of those have they taken? How many are they letting go? That's a big indicator. Is somebody full-time in real estate? Do they have capacity? Maybe they're really busy, so they're not taking them. Maybe they're grilling and cutting their grass, so they're not taking appointments. So you can dig into that. But I like to get into conversion rates. This is what, in my opinion, people should obsess over. And I like to sort by efficiency. So we celebrate our most efficient agents. So this is, for instance, April has she's been given 11 in this time frame and she's converted 3. I want to get April more leads. She might be like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm working my personal, whatever." But we're like pushing, like, "April, you're doing really good. Get some more." Like all these people, I'm trying to get them more because they are going to make you as a team leader more money and have more resources to invest back into the teams, if you can get them more opportunities. And then, so we have a 10% goal, because we know our averages are, in that ballpark. Say our conversion average is 9.28%. So it's realistic, it's possible. It also eliminates the conversations where people are like, "Well, this lead was bad, or I got 3 bad ones." Oh, okay. How many bad ones were out of 10? Well, I do have a couple that are okay. Then you're right in the average, right? Or you're above average. So you need to set those expectations in advance that you're not going to convert 70% of every appointment you get out. If you're not setting those expectations with your agents, then you're setting them up for failure. So find out what the average is and set the standards based on that.
We go back when I want to go back to the last sort that you had. That I think it was on conversion rate. It was
Oh
the
yeah.
deals, and you had it
Uh-huh.
over. I think by conversion, I saw.
Yep.
Okay, scroll down a little bit because what I saw in here was,
Pages.
well, there you changed pages. That's why.
Yeah.
So just curious, like, so you might go to somebody and this isn't picking, right? We've all done this. I'm not picking anybody's agents or anything like that. You got Desiree's closed 12, which is great. Boom, all of a sudden it's like, wow, we're gonna feed Desiree more and more and more. She's closed 12, she's closed the most. But the conversion is only 13%. It's because Desiree took 91 of them, though. Not that it's bad. Again, we're not picking. It's just figuring out, are people able to convert at a higher percentage? Because sometimes we go off the closings but don't have the whole picture. What
Yep.
was it? So if maybe we gave less leads, because it could be you guys just gave Desiree too many, and all of a sudden now she doesn't have time to do the nurturing or whatever it is. I love how the dispatch will hit the ones that are converting the highest, giving them first dibs. You mentioned specialties. I want to drill it down too. People are probably listening. Well, I don't have 50 agents or this. Even if you're a small team, here's what's great about doing it through here. It's still the tracking. When you
Yep.
distribute it through here, you know who took it, when they took it, how many they're taking, where are they now? And then even if you're a smaller team, there are certain specialties. Maybe somebody's great with cash offers versus somebody who
Yes.
Spanish speaking or probate or whatever it is. You might have a small team, but certain agents are better at certain things. And you could put those specialties here so that it gives them first shot at it.
Absolutely.
I've
Yep.
loved how you've also shown when an agent comes in or you're doing a one-on-one, like, man, I'm just not performing or I'm not doing. The one report on here also shows, well, you had the opportunity to take this many and you passed on them,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So you can literally show those. So if agents are coming in saying, I'm not busy enough or I'm not hitting my goals, you now have a report on how many opportunities for a literal appointment that they didn't take.
Yep.
Yeah. Can we too for just a second, to your point, Gabe, how much time is wasted when we get to this stage on if somebody is a Spanish speaker and somehow we send to someone who isn't, and then we have to dial back and then go back and it just loses
Yeah.
Daniel, you talked about losing trust, right? Like it loses trust with the client and the agent when we do that. And so this enables us to keep it really streamlined. And same thing with like luxury. Do you want maybe someone who has only ever sold 2 houses to be taking a $4 million deal, and that can happen. And so that way we're not pulling back from someone either, because it still feels like a takeaway, even if they can't speak Spanish or, something like that. And then the client's like, well,
Right. It
we,
distributes based on the area that they prefer, whether Spanish pay, cash out. Like we were sending,
yeah,
some probate, deals which are mostly cash offer to agents that weren't cash offer certified. They didn't have that specialty and it was just getting missed in the spreadsheet. Now we're just starting to enter that into Maverick. So when we put in there's an appointment here, this is what's needed in this area, it automatically filters all of that and we see it. and I know on time here, I want to get to the last section
Yeah.
here. You got something on there real quick, Daniel?
Well, I was going to say real quick, this is all the data that it creates a list based off of. I mean, price range, to Marissa's point, newer agents start off lower price range, they earn their way up. Even you can sort it by lead source. You can say we only want to give this group of agents the Zillow Flex leads or whatever. The appointment type, the specialty, is it investors, is it buyer, seller, whatever. So all this data is what helps you create. It's what helped the system create the list of the agents to get it in the best person's hands.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to spend a few minutes on accountability. I know we've got some handouts and a special offer for people too if they want to learn more about this. A few minutes on accountability, because I mean we're already seeing where this now helps us. We're not even, I think Daniel, I heard you talk about like I don't have to go in and inspect it. I just have to pull up the data, right? The data is there showing who's doing what. So I'm just kind of curious, like, what are you looking for when it comes to accountability or inspecting what you expect with your ISA teams? Is it dials? Is it appointments? I'd, love to kind of know a little bit, someone who's
Yeah.
new
I'll
to
tell you
this.
real quick what I'll look at. Yeah, one of the things actually, so this is in the pro dispatch reporting. And if I'm looking, accountability with the ISAs, again, this is quality of appointment. So this is how you're going to get your agents excited, to want to take these appointments is the higher this averages, the better, right? And if it's, down towards the bottom, then, maybe somebody needs a little bit of work and coaching on warming up the lead a little bit more. Or maybe they're just setting a ton of appointments and they have yet to come to conversion because you got to remember some of these things have a lagging conversion rate, right? If an agent sets 10 appointments today, but they take a year or 6 months to convert, you won't see that conversion right here. But again, this is like the efficiency side for the ISAs that we also track for the agents. And, for example, Melissa, Casey, they both have a 13% conversion rate of appointments set, not appointments met. So we average about 65% set to met. And then of the sets, they're converting about 13%. So then you can start breaking things down. I mean, if you want to get real granular, you can figure out how much each appointment costs you because you know how many leads it takes to set an appointment and then how many appointments takes to, well, how much it costs to close a lead, like your cost per closing, because you have these figures now. So then you start to know your profit margin, how much revenue you have on each deal. I mean, if without this kind of information, teams are just flying blind. And where I was I thought the solution to our problems was just like buying more leads. Like we'll sell more houses if we just buy more leads, right? And you're just going at the wrong targets, right? Until you understand these numbers.
Yeah. So speaking of numbers, I'm going to share something real quick, and then we'll kind of have some final thoughts. I want to share. So we've been pulling. This is just data, right? Just literal data out of Follow Boss. What we're pulling. So when can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Perfect. So we literally started pulling when the strategies we just talked about, right? Like when you start bringing in ISAs, distributing through pro dispatch, when you start leveraging and just using the tools that are in front of you, which actually do save you time and make it easier, we're seeing an increase right off the bat, right? 2.8 versus 1.2, which is 16x the appointments, right? Now, more appointments is why I'm obsessed with inspecting the appointments, which gets you down to the bottom. But when you start implementing this, what we're seeing on average is an increase of 44,000 GCI per agent when you start doing this, right? I mean, those are crazy numbers, and not even to mention the fact that it's making it, easier for the sales managers and everybody. So, I want to get this up here real quick, and then we'll move to kind of parting thoughts and everything for anybody considering this or doing it. And I'm double check, make sure I'm not missing any questions. So if you're not currently with Maverick, we do have a promo. Scan this QR code, 50% off your first 3 months. Come check it out. Just learn about this. This is super easy to onboard. All the data is pulled through your API key to your with your CRM, pulls it all in. A little bit of setup if you want to start bringing in your deal data. But if you're using like Fub Deals or Brokermint or Sisu, any of those, it comes in really, really fast. If you're already a Maverick client, if you're on our accelerator and you're not on Pro, which this is a Pro feature, give you the same discount as well. If you already have Pro and you're watching this and going, holy shit, I'm not using this. I haven't been doing this. Please get signed up for office hours. It's every Wednesday. In fact, it just ended. That's why we were a couple minutes late starting this up. but get in here and learn how to use these tools. Daniel's on there almost every week. Marissa's in there a lot. I'm in and out depending on travel and stuff. But what I love about Maverick and these tools, especially around if you have ISAs, this is a no-brainer. If you have ISAs, the time this will save you on monitoring call. And we didn't even get into, Daniel, holy crap, we didn't even get into where Maverick's also listening to all their phone calls and
All
check
grading.
if they're asking the call grading. Are they asking for the appointments? Are they saying the right things? We may have to do a follow-up on this, right? Um, like you're literally, this is not even an expense. This is probably an income source because conversion going up and the time alone that it's saving you. So parting thoughts, anybody that has ISAs or thinking about ISAs, you guys want to leave with before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it was really interesting because the combination of defining that we needed ISAs and then actually jumping into the Maverick product. For me, it was almost like we'd been just lighting bags of money on fire, literally for years, right? And I'm the type that I'll go do the math and then it's really, spirally. My thing is that one, if you might think we're a small team, we don't necessarily need an ISA. I would encourage you that there's probably someone on your team that actually identifies more as an ISA, right, than being like a realtor out in the field. And if you can identify that person and work with them to create this, it doesn't matter if you're a team of 2 or 3 or 4, you can have the same exact results. We've seen it inside of each of like the sub teams, right? And so I would encourage you if you're thinking, oh, I'm a small team or even a solo agent, 100% you can have a huge change by getting Maverick and buying into it, but also having an ISA to help work inside of your business. And so there's multiple avenues to do that. That's a whole nother call, Gabe, to your point, right? But I would encourage everyone, no matter where you are in your journey, that it is a game changer, no matter the size of the business.
Love it. Daniel?
Yeah, I would echo that. As far as ISAs, it is our database. They are our database savers. So my database would not be nearly as valuable if I did not have an awesome ISA team. And I'll tell you this, it can be challenging. But there's so many resources. There's so much information out there on how to run a good ISA team, and there's many people have tried it and failed. Like, don't just go at it blindly. I mean, I'm here. I love talking about this stuff. Happy to chat with anybody about, here's the things we found that didn't work, and here's the things that did work. I'm sure Marissa, has hired a lot of these folks, and so she probably knows. I mean, there's a certain personality type. There's, the way you set the expectation with them and setting their targets and goals. But I'm telling you, without my ISA team, my database is less than half of the value that it could be.
I
And of
agree.
course, putting Maverick with the accountability into that just brings us profitability that I don't believe we would have without that visibility.
I think those are both incredible. I'm going to add a little different swing on this just because I think you guys nailed it. But I also think if you have ISAs right now, if you're about to, this isn't even just accountability, like holding ISAs accountable. As I'm now implementing this and talking to some of our ISA team, that we call them LISAs, they're licensed ISAs because some prefer doing the calls just like you guys both said. But this is a tool that they enjoy because their ISAs are also frustrated because they set
Yes.
appointments and there's not proper tracking on where is it at and all this. So the ISAs actually are loving the accountability because it's even for the agents, for all of it, they are loving this because it's getting the right agents, the right people, it's getting moved, and they now have better visibility into the appointments that they're setting and where are they now too. So outside just the sales manager or team lead, the ISAs that I'm working with now getting this going are loving this. They're like, man, I'm not manually putting this in spreadsheets. I now know where it's at. I'm not manually calling agent after agent after agent to find the right agent and playing favorites. So they've even enjoyed this, even though there's accountability in there. But that's how we all make more money for the most part on most ISA structures is closing more deals. So awesome, guys. I appreciate you guys being on here. This has been incredible. So we may have to do another one to go deeper into the call grading, into all the other areas that we didn't even get a chance to cover. So appreciate you guys both for being on here. We'll get
Yeah.
another one probably scheduled, and if not, we'll see you on Wednesdays at office hours.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.